After nearly 15 years of investigating and following up on leads, and the suspect is in custody.
We begin this evening with breaking news. Minot police say they've made an arrest in the killing of Anita Knutson.
Police Chief John Klug made that announcement in an impromptu press conference late this afternoon.
At the special press conference today, Minot police announced they arrested 34-year-old Nicole Rice on a double-A felony murder charge in Knutson's death. The arrest caps off a roughly 15-year investigation into the case.
The 18-year-old Knutson was found fatally stabbed in her off-campus apartment in June of 2007. Minot police say Rice was arrested today while at her civilian job on Minot Air Force Base and was taken into custody without incident.
Serving to know that somebody is out there that murdered somebody, and in this case, there was not one person that had anything bad to say about Anita. So to me, this was a young girl with a great future that was taken away from her family way too soon.
Now, Minot police say Rice is held in the Ward County Jail pending her initial court appearance, and we will continue to follow this story as it develops.
I wish we could have solved this sooner, but at the same time, I'm glad to say that we have a person responsible for the murder of Anita Knutson in custody.
Good evening. After 15 years, the Minot Police Department has made an arrest in the stabbing death of 18-year-old Anita Knutson.
At a special press conference today, Minot police announced that they arrested 34-year-old Nicole Rice on a double-A felony murder charge in Knutson's death. Knutson was found fatally stabbed in her off-campus apartment in June of 2007.
Minot police say Rice was arrested today while at her civilian job on Minot Air Force Base and was taken into custody without incident. Grace Kramer has more from the press conference.
15 years without answers in the stabbing death of 18-year-old Anita Knutson. On Wednesday evening, Minot Police Chief John Klug gave the community some sort of closure.
At about 3:25 p.m., 34-year-old Nicole Rice was arrested for murder and taken to Ward County Jail.
Knutson was found dead in this Northwest Minot apartment in June 2007. Klug shared that the department spent hundreds of hours looking into the case throughout the years.
It was being able to sit and dedicate some time, our officers, to that and let them do their work. Like I said, there have been times that we have looked at this case and we've wanted to move it forward.
With the additional resources provided by an outside entity, Cold Justice, the Minot Police Department was able to put the pieces together.
A lot of it isn't new information. There were a few details that came up, and over time, things start to develop. I mean, it's ultimately, you're looking back, you're looking at probably at least dozens, but probably maybe even over 100 statements that were taken.
Klug added that it is not only a relief to the department, but to Knutson's family and the community that the 15-year-long investigation is coming to a close. In Minot, I'm Grace Kramer reporting for your news leader.
Now, Klug says Rice was always a person of interest. She's currently held in the Ward County Jail pending her initial court appearance. Your news leader will continue to closely follow the case. Good evening. We have new details in the 15-year-old murder case of 18-year-old Anita Knutson.
As we reported, 34-year-old Nicole Rice, Knutson's roommate at the time of the crime, was arrested yesterday on a double-A felony murder charge in the stabbing death of Knutson back in 2007. According to a criminal affidavit filed with court today, William May, a former love interest of Rice's, described Nicole as having gotten drunk, belligerently drunk, at a get-together in the years following Knutson's death, and as they were about to go to bed, May said Nicole told him that she did it.
The affidavit later states Nicole told police that she was at her family's farm by Velva when Anita was murdered. Statements received from Nicole were inconsistent and contradicted each other, and statements by members of her family were also inconsistent.
Rice appeared before a judge by video for the first time this afternoon. Judge Richard Hager set Rice's bond at $120,000 cash, or a $250,000 surety bond. The judge heard from both the state and the defense before setting the bond, saying that Rice has not left the area in more than 15 years and has ties here to Minot.
I do know that you don't have any history, at least as far as criminal activities are concerned. You do have quite a bit of family ties to the community. I understood that you are employed. Again, unknown as to your actual financial resources. And again, there's no history with regard to the record of appearances.
As a part of her bond, Rice cannot have any contact with Knutson's family and must submit a DNA sample to the Ward County Sheriff's Department. Rice was given a chance to speak during the hearing before that bond was set, but she had no comment. Rice will be back in court April 21st for her preliminary hearing and arraignment. She faces the chance of life in prison without parole if convicted.
The woman charged in the 2007 killing of Minot State student Anita Knutson appeared in district court in Minot this morning. Our reporter, Joe Skrstevsky, was at the courthouse and joins us now with the latest information. Joe?
Yeah, good afternoon, Krista. 34-year-old Nicole Rice entered a not guilty plea to the AA felony murder charge in Knutson's death. Now, her plea came after some lengthy testimony at a preliminary hearing. Really, it was the first testimony we've heard in open court in this case in the 15 years since Knutson was found killed. Now, the 18-year-old Knutson was found fatally stabbed in her off-campus apartment in June of 2007. Rice, who went by Nicole Thomas at the time, was Knutson's roommate at the time of her death. The case went cold until this year when Rice was arrested in March. At today's hearing, Minot Police Detective Macaulay Talbot testified to the DNA samples from people in Knutson's circle that were submitted to the state lab to be tested against the blood that was found on the murder weapon that was located in her apartment. Listen in.
All of the male profiles that were sent have been able to be excluded from the profiles developed from the knife. The only profile that cannot be excluded or DNA sample that has been submitted is Nicole's.
And so hers is the only one that cannot be excluded by the testing?
To my knowledge, yes.
All right, so where does this case go from here? Now, trial dates have not been set just yet. There is a pre-trial conference that is set for November 16th here in Minot. Now, Nicole Rice does face the chance of life in prison without parole if she is convicted on the AA felony charge. And we will have more coverage of today's proceedings later today on First News at 5. Krista?
Thank you, Joe.
The woman charged in the 2007 killing of Minot State University student Anita Knutson appeared in court on Thursday, nearly 6 months after she was arrested last March. 34-year-old Nicole Rice pleaded not guilty to a AA felony murder charge. Her plea came after a more than hour-long preliminary hearing. Joe Skrstevsky breaks down the key points from yesterday's testimony and where the case goes from here.
34-year-old Nicole Rice appeared in the Ward County Courthouse Thursday morning for her preliminary hearing, an appearance that's been continued multiple times due to the volume of evidence in the case. We heard lengthy testimony from a Minot police detective as to evidence in the case. It's really the first testimony in open court we've heard in the 15 years since Knutson was found killed. Detective Macaulay Talbot was the only person to testify at Thursday's preliminary hearing, but she found herself on the stand for more than an hour. Prosecutor Tiffany Sorgan questioning Talbot on the crime scene and on Nicole.
Over the investigation, Nicole's statements have been inconsistent from the start. She had an extreme hatred towards her. She was trying to move out of the apartment. I believe that it was a staged crime scene. She has means, motive, and opportunity at that time.
Rice's defense attorney, Philip Becker, raised questions on investigators' considerations of another suspect named Devin Hall, who was arrested in the area around the time of Knutson's death.
Are you aware that the FBI profilers, after having been provided the entire file up until 2009 when this meeting happened, that was the conclusion they drew, that Devin Hall was the most likely suspect? And
I don't know.
I don't even see anything any even reference to Nicole as far as the FBI profilers are concerned. Would that be fair to say?
I mean, per this paragraph, there's nothing referencing Nicole.
On cross, the state questioned Talbot on how investigators felt they had ruled Hall out as a suspect. No trial dates have been set just yet in the case. Rice is scheduled to appear for a pretrial conference November 16th. She does face the possibility of life in prison without parole if she's convicted on the AA felony charge. At the Ward County Courthouse in Minot, I'm Joe Skrzyszewski reporting for your news leader.